Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Bithoulkas, and this is Saturday Morning Blast Off. Welcome, everybody. Sorry I'm a little bit late, but Todd works late, unfortunately, on Saturdays, and then I had to fill out all the HR paperwork for the henchmen. And you know how it is with Legion of Doom. The paperwork gets to be a little fucking wonky. So, yeah, sorry about that. It took a little while. If you like what you see here, remember to like, share, and subscribe down below here. Also, you can find out when I'm going to be on live again next. Sometimes it works. It's a 50-50 chance if you hit the bell down below here as well. YouTube may or may not notify you. Who knows? Best thing to do is go to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the website there. That's where the schedule is. I'm usually within 15 to 30 minutes of that start time. If I'm a little bit late, it's usually 15 or 30 minutes, something like that. It's also on my Facebook page as well, that schedule. And speaking of Facebook, there is a Facebook group page which you guys can join to post stuff, talk amongst yourselves, all that kind of good stuff. There's also a Twitter, uh, Instagram, and a Patreon page as well. No tier setup as yet on the Patreon page. It will happen at some point in time. I just need some more time in the freaking universe. So, what is this thing that I do right here, Saturday Morning Blast Off? I take the genre news of the week, talk about it, and any other genre stuff you guys want to talk about. This is pretty much the free for all thing there. So, yeah, it does happen. So, what's going on there, Pen? Oh, they put you in the goon pool? Sorry about that, Stanley. I didn't pull you this time around on that one for some reason. I don't know what happened. But the streets will run with Razzie Zazzy today. I fucking just love that line. Really. Bane is still my fucking favorite character. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go and take a look at Harley Quinn, the animated Harley Quinn on DC Universe. You'll know what I'm talking about then. And also take a look at the reviews that I'm doing on that as well. Plug. So let's take care of some of the lesser news as people start trickling in, and I'll get to the main news in a little bit. It has been finally confirmed and seen on site that Bill Murray is in Ghostbusters Afterlife. There was a Vanity Fair article that I guess they were on the set back in November of last year with Bill Murray. And so that was what the whole delay was because of this Vanity Fair article. Yeah, and that's what ended up happening. That's the reason why they delayed announcing that he was actually in it, which was kind of stupid, to tell you the truth. So they could have just said, yeah, he's in it. More details to come, kind of thing, is all they could have said. But this is not the 1980s anymore, where if you go and take a look on Netflix, there's actually a series called The Movies That Made Us. And it's done by the guys who did the toys that we played with, I believe is what it's called. And they do certain movies. So Ghostbusters was one of them, and they pull archival footage and they talk to everyone that goes around and does this. And I guess Bill Murray at the time, no one knew if he was actually going to be in it or not, because right before the start of the movie, he was like out in Europe, he was in Bangladesh, he was all over the place, other than being in New York where they were shooting. Except on the first day of shooting, who shows up on set, who's there at call time, but Bill Murray. So yes, he's finally, that kind of shit doesn't fly anymore, quite honestly. Unless you're producing the movie, and I don't think he was. So yeah, there's just too much Twitter, Instagram, all that kind of stuff, instant gratification. None of this delaying of that anymore, and trying to be coy, it just doesn't work. It was cute back in the 80s. It wasn't even really cute back in the 80s, and it isn't now, that's for damn sure. So I'm going to take a look at it, Stanley, because that is Steve Niles. So have you watched the entire thing, or did you just watch one episode? That's what I want to know. We're talking about October Faction, by the way, for those of you. So yeah, that's what I figured. Usually he ends up he takes a really common premise, and it seems kind of boring, and then about second or third issue in is where he kind of twists things around and things go really wonky really, really fast. Steve Niles is actually a really good writer. Yeah, Penn, I talked about it 2 weeks ago, I believe. I talked about it here. And I also put up the trailer for it as well. Steve Niles is involved in that. That's his graphic novel that got turned into a series. So exactly, Keith Hamilton. Yeah, Ghostbusters was supposed to be John Belushi and Eddie Murphy, but then John Belushi died, and Eddie Murphy blew up really big. And there was no way in hell they're getting Eddie Murphy after that one. Yeah. Do we have another episode of Is It Worth My Time? Probably. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Stanley Tweedle, that's exactly it. It's very in your face. That's how it goes. He does a very that's how most of his stuff is. And it gets subverted very, very quickly. So let's see what else we got here. So the very underrated Guy Pearce. I'm a big, huge Guy Pearce fan. I really think he's underrated. He should have gotten Oscar-worthy movies now at this point. He has been in Oscar-worthy movies and just has been kind of overlooked. So he and Amanda Lutz have signed on to a movie called Zone 414. And it's a sci-fi movie, which he's been doing a lot of lately. He was actually just recently in another remake of The Christmas Carol on FX, which I have to see. I still have to see it because I didn't get a chance to at the time. So this one is set in the near future in Zone 414's colony of humanoid robots. Private investigator follows David Carmichael, who is Pearce, who is hired by an obsessive business tycoon, Marlon Veidt, to find his rebellious daughter. Teaming up with a highly advanced, self-aware AI, David moves to the dangerous iron jungle, rapidly piecing together the mystery and uncovering a crime that questions the origins of Zone 414 and the city of robots. So that's what that is. It's shooting in Belfast right now in Northern Ireland, and that's what's happening. I'm gonna look for it, quite honestly, when it comes out. It'll probably be a low budget movie, but I don't care. Yeah. Yeah, Guy Pearce was in Prometheus. I keep forgetting about that because that movie was so horribly bad. But yes, he was good in it. Hey, Mr. Roboto. So let's see here. Sure, why not? Let's go with the big guy now. So, of course, you probably have read all over the place, and people have been bitching about it that the Obi-Wan series at Disney Plus has been delayed. Some say delayed indefinitely, all this kind of stuff. So basically, it was supposed to start shooting in August of this year. That shooting has now been pushed back to January of 2021. Ewan McGregor has said he has read all the scripts for it. He really loved the scripts. He said he read 90% of the scripts, is what he said, and he loved the scripts. Supposedly, they fired the scriptwriter and they're redoing all the scripts again. And supposedly, they've brought the episode count from 6 down to 4, is what they've done. It's still going to hit the same target date that it was supposed to do. I believe it's next fall of 2021. Um, But word on the street is that it was too similar to The Mandalorian in a way of, having a figure that's overseeing a child and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, well, we know what Obi-Wan's story is because he was looking after Luke. And they even said he looks after Leia a little bit as well. So who knows at this point, quite honestly. I would like to see more Obi-Wan with Ewan McGregor, not on Tatooine. I'd rather see him during the Clone Wars doing other things, kind of like what we saw in the animated Clone Wars, where he was going off and doing his own stuff, or even before the Clone Wars, before the prequels, and seeing a Padawan Obi-Wan, if you will, a young Obi-Wan, and even without Ewan McGregor, that would have been good too. And yes, Clone Wars 7 does look promising. Season 7 looks promising, Stanley Tweedle. And if you saw the latest trailer out there was even a Rebels Easter egg in it. It was very hard to see, and you could fairly well be forgiven for overlooking it. But in the trailer, it's a blink and you miss it kind of thing. When there's a table discussion going on and you see a hologram across from Yoda, actually, and there is a Jedi Master who is talking via hologram, and the Jedi Master's Padawan is standing behind him, who you see. That Padawan is a young Caleb Doom, who we know as Caden in Star Wars Rebels. So, yeah. There was the little Easter egg for you. Kind of nice, actually. They did a nice job of tying that together. But this is, of course, the final season of Clone Wars because it ties directly into the movies then at that point. But it looks like we're getting a lot of Ahsoka in this, which leads credence to the rumor that the next animated series that Dave Filoni is going to be announcing at this year's D23 is going to be actually not the animated series, the next series, I believe, for Disney Plus. They're talking about a live action Star Wars series. Is supposed to be the Ahsoka series. So, yeah, I am all for that if that's the case. Because that's what we need. I don't give a shit about the Skywalkers anymore. That's pretty much what I'm kind of hesitant about the whole Obi-Wan series because I really don't want to see any more on the Skywalker line. I'm tired of the Skywalker line. I really am. And I'm talking as someone who grew up with the Skywalker line and all that stuff. So yeah, yeah. They did not have an Ahsoka series, Mr. Roboto. If you go out and take a look, there is not anything like that. Yeah. Will Ahsoka or Darth Maul? They both survive. We already know that. Yeah, there's no, it's for people who don't pay attention. Stanley Tweedle. Yeah, that's all it was. There's a lot of casual Star Wars fan that go, "Oh, look, lightsaber," and they don't care about the story. Quite honestly, they just want to see cool shit blow up. Explosions. There are lots of explosions. I don't know what explosions are, Bane. I know what explosives are, though. You have to watch the last Harley Quinn if you really want to get that one. Hey, Popeye Pliskin. You were the chosen one. You were supposed to destroy the Sith, not them. You were supposed to bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness. God, that was a fucking whiny read. And I think that's probably Ewan McGregor's worst line reading ever. And it's no fault of his own. It's honestly, it's Lucas. Yeah. No, Rebels was not an Ahsoka series, Mr. Roboto. You would know that if you watched it. That's all I'm going to say. It's been out there for a while, so it is not. It has done cast of characters. All right, what else we got here? So Marvel Television has been rebranded as Marvel TV Studios by Disney. Of course, this came out right after 20th Century Fox got rebranded to 20th Century Studios. Obviously, that's what Disney wants. They just wanted to call it studios. So Marvel TV Studios is what they're calling it now. And kind of a surprise, it just showed up last night. Word is that Jeph Loeb is still working with Marvel TV Studios for some unknown reason, and no one knows when the fuck he's going to leave. Quite honestly, he's there. He's got a toehold, and he's just not going anywhere at all. Yeah, it's. I'm kind of disappointed. I want his ass out. What that could actually also mean. So what's going on right now? There's big upheaval at Disney. We already know this. We've seen it within the Star Wars stuff. We've seen it within the Marvel stuff now as well. Um, Over at Marvel TV Studios, they Howard the Duck and the Tigra and Dazzler series that were supposed to be animated both at Hulu. Both of them have been canceled. So the Howard the Duck series had what's his face, Fat Man, Kevin Smith attached to it, and he's fired. He's gone. They kicked his ass out. But the MODOK animated series, they just added a whole list of actors to the voice cast. The main one being Patton Oswalt. Patton Oswalt is the lead for MODOK. He is, of course, voicing MODOK. Who else do we have here? Veep San Richardson, The Goldbergs Wendy, McLendon Covey is on there. House of Lies Ben Schwartz, Lucifer's Amy Garcia. Yeah, so I mean, there's a huge cast here and a credible cast as well. So yeah, it's kind of weird that they are dumping everybody else, but they are keeping that and Hitmonkey alive, which are two far lesser known, I would say, characters in the Marvel universe than Howard the Duck, Tigra, and Dazzler. So yeah, we'll see what happens with this. But and also with Jeph Loeb, if I don't know if he's got any involvement in any of that as well. Yeah. What's with the renaming trend? So they're basically just kind of rebranding stuff to all fall in line with Disney stuff. It's all supposed to have one kind of name to it, so you can interchange Disney Studios, Marvel TV Studios, 20th Century Studios, all that kind of stuff. It all has studios involved in it. Yeah. I don't know if Loeb has dirty pictures or not. Yeah, he's just really. She was getting her own series, Mr. Roboto. No more. Tigra is gone. So, MODOK, is this serious or is it supposed to be played? It's played for laughs, Keith Hamilton. It is a comedy. It's kind of like a sitcom where he comes home from a day at AIM or Hydra or whatever, and his kids don't respect him, of course, and his wife is kind of a bitch to him, kind of thing. That's how it's supposed to be played. Yes, it is a sitcom, not how it's been described. That's why they have a whole bunch of comedy actors that are voicing the characters. Hitmonkey, on the other hand, your guess is as good as mine. What the fuck they're gonna do with this? Yeah, yeah. So we'll see what happens. Let's see what else I got here. Speaking of jokes, Whoopi Goldberg is gonna be back as Guinan in the second season of Picard. Okay, great. I'm not gonna watch the first season. That's for sure. Yeah, I'm sorry. When you have a streaming service where all your biggest shows are based on one franchise, and you have 7 different series based on that franchise, I'm not gonna buy into it. You might as well just call it the Star Trek streaming service at this point, because no one's watching it for anything else, that's for sure. Yep. Yeah, they got Whoopi Goldberg. She's coming back as Guinan. How do they explain how much she's aged and how she doesn't have any eyebrows or hair or anything like that? Yeah, they're bringing back everybody. Like 7 and 9 supposed to be in that. Riker's back. Troy is back. Data's back. Actually, the whole story revolves around Data anyway. For the first season. And who else is supposed to be back? Yo Mama's supposed to be back. I don't know who else. There's like literally like the entire truckload of characters. They've just kind of backed up the dump truck and dumped them into the series. Yes, Hugh Borg is back. Yeah. Uh Also, you remember the guy that was trying to deny Data being sentient back in the old Star Trek The Next Generation? That's what the whole series revolves around too, is that character. So they're probably bringing that actor back, but I thought he died in real life, so I don't know. Yeah. Whoopi is a time-sensitive character who's immortal like Q. No, she's not supposed to be immortal. She ages slower, supposedly, which doesn't, you know, it's not going to make sense that she's going to look a lot older than Picard, who's supposed to have aged where she's not supposed to have. But you know, go figure. Yeah. I read the synopsis for the first episode, and I was like, it would have made a good book. I wouldn't have watched it as a series though. So, but yeah, there we go. So we also got our first look at Colin Farrell as the Penguin on the set of the Batman. And pretty much it looks like Colin Farrell in a suit carrying an umbrella. So much so that supposedly word has gotten out that that is not the final look, that they're going to be adding some kind of, I guess, CGI, or it's still under production, or I don't know. They basically said that's not the final look. And I'm not really, you know, I'm not holding up any hopes for this Batman movie, to tell you the truth. The new Planet of the Apes stuff was okay. It was great video movie stuff, but nothing that I was compelled to go and see in the theater. Matt Reeves stuff just kind of leaves me cold, to tell you the truth. So yeah, I don't know. I have to see some footage of it before I'm gonna weigh in on it. Penn Farm Girl says, I heard it wasn't horrible, but I still won't pay to watch it. Yeah, Picard. Yeah, I'm not either. Yeah. Oh, lots of people would have been a better Penguin, Popeye Pliskin. Yeah. Josh Gad was trying to play the Penguin, and I was just laughing, going, dude, you need to actually learn how to act first before you can be in that. You're a comedy actor. That's all you are. And even then, that's kind of stretching it. All I have to do is say, take a look at the first episode of the Avenue 5 for reference on that one. Not the best actor in the world. So, all right. What else we got going on here? Oh, yeah. Another thing about Marvel TV Studios is supposedly there are 2 new series in the works for Disney Plus by Marvel TV Studios. Secret Invasion, which is one of them, that is going to be the Skrulls. Yes, live action Skrulls. And another one, which isn't known as of yet, but supposedly is going to be on a single character, kind of like the Loki series in a way. So they're going to use a C-list character and make their own series focused around that. So I don't know if they're going to use a villain or if they're going to use a hero. Most likely they'll use a villain because I'm hearing positive word of mouth already from the Loki series that's coming out there. So we'll see what's going on with it. Did I like DeVito in the role? He was okay for what it was. I'm not a big fan of the Batman, the Burton movies, to tell you the truth. I know everyone loves the Burton movies. I just didn't like the stiff rubber suit. So, yeah. Yeah, She-Hulk is already planned. They are already in the script writing process right now. They need to cast somebody as well. They need, honestly, I would take Alison Brie and put her in that role. People are also talking about Gina Carano in that role too, and I was like, yeah, Gina Carano would work very well as well. But I would love Alison Brie in that role, especially if you're going to do CGI, kind of like you did with what's his face in Avengers Endgame when he was playing Hulk. That would work. Be very expensive, but sure. Popeye Pliskin says, "Is it about the scrolls from the comics or the version of scrolls from the movies?" Probably from the movies, Popeye Pliskin, because usually, so what Marvel TV Studios is supposed to be is supposed to be that bridge that we were supposed to get back about 10 years ago between the movies and the TV shows, and that's what this actually is for a change. Gina Carano on stilts as She-Hulk. Yeah. Yeah, I know she's short. I agree with you on that one, but she's actually got fighting skills, and yeah, I would still, like I said, I would like Alison Brie in the role. I think she would hit the notes on everything really, really well in the character. Angie Harmon back in the day for She-Hulk. Now she is too, yeah, that she's way too old on that one. So There really aren't too many people that can play her, to tell you the truth. Um, I know that since they've been talking a lot about this live action Ahsoka series as well, the name that keeps popping up more and more is Rosaria Dawson as a live action Ahsoka. And while she's all well and good, and she's a good actress and stuff like that, I still say the voice actress who does the voice acting for Ahsoka on the TV series on Clone Wars, she has actually been photographed in cosplay as Ahsoka and looks exactly like her. And I'm like, yeah, that's who I want. I want her actually, the voice actress to play her. And she's in her what? Her mid 30s, late 30s, something like that. So I think she's in the perfect age range. Depends on what point in time they're gonna use her, Stanley Tweedle. If they're gonna do just after Rebels, or are they going to do just after Return of the Jedi? Because if they do just after Return of the Jedi, where Ahsoka and Sabine are looking for Ezra, then she's gonna be in her mid to late 40s, which is where Rosario Dawson could play her, but also Ashley Eckerson or something like that could play her as well. So yeah. No, Rosario Dawson has been expressing interest in the Ahsoka character, Mr. Roboto. So yeah, never say never on that one. Penn Farm Girl says, I never watched Clone Wars, but I hope the voice actress gets a shot at the live act. Watch Clone Wars, Penn, especially if you have Disney Plus. Watch Clone Wars, and the first season, I'm going to warn you right now, sucks balls. The first season is horrible. The second season on actually starts getting better and better and better. And by the time you get into the third season, you're like, holy shit, where was this? Why didn't they make this into a movie? Is it true that Kevin Feige wants Charlie Cox back as Daredevil? Your guess is as good as mine, Jimmy One. I heard one thing about it, and it was from I think We Got This Covered, which is a shit site that makes up their own news. So I did not allegedly makes up their own news just in case they want to come after me for anything. So yeah, I don't put any stock in any of that. When they make an announcement, that's when I will believe it. Yeah. But yeah, I would love to see Charlie Cox come back as Daredevil. He did a great job, both as Daredevil and as Matt Murdock. Yeah. Stanley Trail said I started watching Clone Wars from season 3 recently. Nice. Yeah, I've actually watched a couple of the last season of Clone Wars. That was the last season was the thing that got released on Netflix, season 6, and I had watched it on Netflix, but I was kind of spotty on it, so I was going back and rewatching it. I didn't like what they did in the last 2 seasons of it, where they started clumping episodes together in like 3 and 4 episode arcs, and making the storyline over 3 or 4 episodes, and it just kind of sucked for me. It kind of broke things up too much. No, Rebels was not the one with Ahsoka. Ahsoka was in it at some point in time, but no, that was not the focus, Mr. Roboto. Yeah. Ezra Miller, Sabine Wren, Caleb Doom, also known as Caden, and now I'm blanking on her name, Hera, all of that. That is what Star Wars Rebels was about. And also the big guy, Zeb. So all these designs in Rebels were taken from the original Ralph McQuarrie designs for the original Star Wars. And they actually used them. So like the original design for Chewbacca is what Zeb's character is. Things like that. And Chopper, by the way, is the most murderous fucking robot in Rebels and Star Wars history, I'm pretty sure. He would have just let his human counterparts die. I'm pretty sure if you had let him, that bot had some issues. It really did. Yeah, Rex as well. There are some clones that pop up in Rebels. Yes, Zeb is a hairy person because he is supposed to be a Wookiee, or was the original prototype for the Wookiees. What else I got here? Oh, yeah. God. So Bad Robot is going to be developing film and TV projects for Warner Brothers based on DC Comics properties because they've not fucked up enough franchises as it is. They haven't fucked up, Star Wars. They haven't fucked up Star Trek. So now they're going after DC Comics properties too, which wouldn't be bad. I mean, considering that the DC Comics properties are already a flaming dumpster fire of a train wreck anyway. Um, but they were starting to get better here with Shazam and Aquaman and Wonder Woman, of course. So I think it's a bad idea to bring in Bad Robot and let them do anything. Especially since J.J. Abrams, too. It's his company. I know he doesn't have a hand really in a lot of the production stuff, but still, it's fucking J.J. Abrams, man. Anything he touches, he taints and needs to stay away. He can go and fuck up his own properties as much as he wants to. I'm okay with that. He can do his little Steven Spielberg homages, like Cloverdale, whatever. Oh, now it's a Cloverdale tie-in movie or whatever. Let him fuck up those things. That's nice. Do that, man. Stop going into established franchises and making like the Kelvin universe of everything now because you want to do some fanfic bullshit version of it that sucks balls. The Rock is going to be Black Adam. Yeah. They've been talking about that for decades now, Popeye Pliskin. At least it feels like it. Ironically, DC is already dark, but to bring up Dark Justice. Yeah. So what was supposed to happen, Jimmy One, was that the guys who were doing Swamp Thing, their plan was season 1, establish Swamp Thing. Season 2, bring in Constantine. And this is from the showrunner himself. I follow him on Twitter. Season 3, they were going to kind of allude to the Dark Justice League, and then they were going to they were going to set it up, actually, Dark Justice League, and do a movie based on all those characters that they've pulled together at the end of season 3. And that's where they're supposed to lead off, into the movie verse at this point, Dark Justice League. And it sounded like a much better idea of doing it that way, bringing in organically, building up these characters instead of just doing a Dark Justice League movie. So nothing in his own property. Everything he did is yeah, exactly. Stanley Tweedle. Everything that he's done is a really bad copy of something else with a mystery box because it's a twist, Exactly, Popeye Pliskin. It sounds like it could have been very, very, very good. And this is the guy, of course, who worked on Daredevil season 1. He worked on Ash versus Evil Dead seasons 1 and 2. He worked on a lot of different really good stuff, and I can't remember his name right now. I'm blanking on his name all of a sudden, the showrunner. And yeah, that Swamp Thing got canceled after one episode and it was just fucking ridiculous. Yeah. Jimmy One says, I do remember J.J. Abrams trying to do a Black Alias show with a couple being spies on ABC and okay. I don't remember anything like that. So when J.J. Abrams does Star Trek, yeah, he's a horrible, horrible screenwriter. He's got severe ADHD, and it shows in everything that he does. You can see the scenes shift, especially when he directs something or if he edits something. The shifts are so abrupt, it's ridiculous to the point where I'm just going, did someone actually proofread this for him? Did they, go over this with him and go, that doesn't work? Yeah. And yet he's making multi-million-dollar movies. Ugh, God. So, what else I got? Happier notes. There we go. Speaking of Rosaria Dawson, as I was speaking of earlier, she's going to star in the Ava DuVernay produced series DMZ at HBO Max. Yes, you heard that right. DMZ, that is the comic, the DC comic is being brought to live action series over at HBO Max. What is DMZ, you say? Well, DMZ is a series about an America at Civil War, which has, of course, fractured. And Manhattan, the island of Manhattan, is now a demilitarized zone. It follows no factions. And Rosaria Dawson's character is supposed to be a nurse who is looking for her son in this demilitarized zone who is missing. And she's helping people out along the way as she is, a nurse, and she unintentionally becomes a beacon of hope within the demilitarized zone of Manhattan, and that's what this whole series is about. Very dystopian, of course, because that is what HBO is into at the moment, and I'll see it because the comic was actually pretty good. The comic was actually pretty damn good. So, and for those of you who don't know, Rosario Dawson does have a comic book background. Her uncle was a writer in comics, so she grew up in the comics world and all that stuff. So she is involved in that. She is not one of those people that goes, "Oh yeah, I read comics when I was a kid, but never followed them ever again." She actually reads comics and follows them and stuff like that. So, and she's also a delightful person too. I've bumped into her once a long time ago at Comic Con. So, quite literally, because that's what happens sometimes. Ah. Stanley Twill says the comic was interesting, not my favorite, too depressing. Yeah. I think they're gonna tie up, lighten it up just a little bit so it's not as depressing as the comic. There's been too many depressing things that are out there. So what else I got here? I was talking about Alison Brie earlier as well. So February 7th, we're gonna get a movie that stars Alison Brie on Netflix called Horse Girl. What is this thing about? It's about a woman who may or may not have been abducted by aliens, and or she could be going crazy, one of the two. Hopefully, they don't leave it with a, oh, it's up to the audience to decide bullshit. Take a stance on it, you know, do something different. Take a stance on it. But yeah, the trailer is out there. It's called Horse Girl. It looks interesting. I will be looking at it to see. Well, of course, since Alison Brie is in it, I'm going to take a look at it. She's one of my favorite actresses right now. So yes. Uh, Penn, there are so many people around Comic Con in the years that I've been there that yes, I've run into a lot of interesting people. And you can't help you bump into people. You literally bump into people at Comic Con. Uh, yeah. I don't like alien abduction stuff if it takes itself seriously. Well, take a look at the trailer, Stanley Tweedle. You might not like it. So, but Molly Shannon is in it too. I think Molly Shannon is the one that's in it from SNL, and she plays one of her coworkers, which I thought was kind of interesting that she's in that. I don't know if she's trying to revive an acting career or what's going on. So. Jimmy One says, I did Comic Con once back in 2002 to not meet anyone interesting. I'm not saying people there are not interesting. I am a taciturn. And no, I'm not dropping Project Blue Book. It's actually a really good show, and people are into it, and people like it. That's the whole thing, Stanley Tweedle. And I like it too. So I like to cover stuff that I like. That's why I'm not covering Picard, Star Trek Discovery. Also, I just don't want to pay for that, stupid CBS All Access bullshit. It's just not worth it. Yeah. So there you go. What else I've got here? Oh yeah, this one's actually pretty good. So Rick Remender had a comic book out there called Fear Agent. And Seth Rogen, David F. Sandberg, Matt Tolmach, they're all going to be working on this for Amazon as a series, a live action series. So Matt Tomlinson co-wrote the script for the Batman. He's going to write the adaptation for this. Who else is in this? Sandberg who directed Shazam, and Annabelle Creation is on board to helm and executive produce. And what else? And Rogen, of course, is producing it with his partner Evan Goldberg, of course, on this one. So that's what's going on there. So what is Fear Agent about? Interstellar invaders, time travel, clones of clones of clones, and lots of whiskey. Whether he's battling the scourge of space, going back in time to stop the alien invasion that changed Earth forever, or winning his ex-wife back, there's nothing that Heath Huston won't do to try to right the wrongs and get his family back. He is, after all, the last Fear Agent. That's what this whole thing's about. It's very, very kind of 1950s Buck Roger-esque, but with a modern sensibility to it. And I'm looking forward to it. Rick Remender does some great writing, quite honestly. Yeah, Stanley Tweedle, Fear Agent, shut up and take my money. Exactly. Yeah, exactly what I said. Jimmy One, if you haven't been watching the stuff that Seth Rogen has been producing TV-wise, you're missing out on a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot of stuff. There's some good stuff that's out there right now. The Boys being one of them. The Boys is really fucking awesome. Yeah. Exactly. Give the DC universe to Seth Rogen. I wouldn't mind that, to tell you the truth. I think it would be in good hands with him. Yeah. Uh yeah, exactly. Stanley Tweedle. Fear Agent is pulp sci-fi at its best. Yeah. And I'll definitely be covering it when that comes out. So Agent Future says, why can't we have TV shows based in future, exciting and optimistic? I'm tired. I'm tired of dystopian. Because of the times that we live in, Agent Future. This happens all the time. So whenever the atomic clock gets close to zero, to midnight, is when you have a lot of dystopian TV and movies. That's what happens. Look at the 80s. Yeah, we had a lot of that during the 80s. A lot of it during the 80s. And that's what we're kind of mirroring again. We're coming back to that kind of mind frame. And that's what happens when it's all basically reflective of the society that we live in the now. You don't get a lot of optimism that happens, unfortunately. And also, you have TV producers that are not kind on optimistic things because it doesn't sell. I hate to say it, but it really doesn't to your audience. Yeah, I hate to say that, but that is unfortunately the truth. And I was speaking of the boys there a little bit earlier. Garth Ennis is returning to comics to write a short series that is a sequel to The Boys called Dear Becky. Now, if you don't know what Dear Becky refers to, take a look at the final episode of The Boys on Amazon, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's actually in references to Butcher's wife. And that's going to be over at at Dynamite Comics. This Dear Becky series is going to be over at Dynamite Comics. And it's going to be a sequel, from what I understand. Yeah. Hey, Viking bitch, you're just leaving your mom's place. Hey, say happy birthday to your mom for me. She's not going to know who the fuck I am, but sure, why not? Yeah. Yeah. Um, good stuff, though. I mean, yeah, I am looking forward to that as well, I'll tell you the truth. Garth Ennis is hit and miss sometimes, quite honestly. And but that he's returning back to this to kind of delve into a little more of the boys and what happened there. Uh, it sounds like it could be good. And Derek Robertson, the artist and co-creator of the boys, did 2 covers for the new book. Actually, that's how I found out about it. Was he tweeted it out. I followed Derek as well. Exactly, Dennis Who. That's what I kind of expected from your mom. And she didn't disappoint. So, also speaking of comics, Robert Kirkman has finally said why the zombies in The Walking Dead have come back to life. What happened? What the cause of the zombie apocalypse is. And he says it happened to quote unquote space spores. That's right. And for those of you who don't know what the hell space spores is in reference to, take a look at the very first Night of the Living Dead, the George Romero Night of the Living Dead, and you'll know exactly what you're talking about. So essentially what he did was is so the pitch for Night of the Living or for Walking Dead, the original Walking Dead, was based on the George Romero movies, the George Romero zombie movies. And this is actually what he said happened. And if you take a look in the very first Night of the Living Dead, at the very end, well, actually the very beginning, and also at the beginning of uh Dawn of the Dead, they talk about the space probe that went to Venus and came back with some kind of space spores. It's kind of in the news. You hear it in the news, and that's what actually had started the whole zombie process to begin with. Penn, he did say that he wasn't going to do it until years after the comic ended, but he just finally got tired of people asking him, and he just said what it was. Yeah, he finally just kind of blurted it out and on Twitter and said Space Force because someone flat out asked him. Yeah. Stanley Tweedle says the metaphor for the entertainment industry, nothing ever dies and everything comes back again exactly as a series. And good fucking Lord. Yeah. Now I know why George Romero did not like Kirkman. Uh, yeah, because he basically piggybacked off of him and you know. So originally, it was supposed to be that space aliens had brought the dead back to life as a preamble to invading Earth, and that this was the pitch that they gave to Image Comics at the time, and that the whole kicker was supposed to be that once the zombies had done enough decimation, that the aliens were going to come down and enslave the people that were still alive to mine water and resources from the planet for them, use them as slaves essentially. And Michonne was supposed to have a laser sword, if that sounds familiar at all. He actually drew it up and everything for the final issue of Walking Dead as an alternate. Yeah. Green Henry shows, did you like the Walking Dead comic ending? Should the television series follow? You know what? I never read it, to tell you the truth, Green Henry. I don't know. I didn't read it. And right now the TV show is so far off from the comic that it's going to be a different ending altogether, I believe. Yeah. Not a lightsaber, pen farm girl, a laser sword. Ah. Yeah, Romero was a bit bitter that he didn't copyright his work. Yeah. I didn't read it to the end. Too much water treading is what Stanley Tweedle says, huh? Yeah. Yeah, laser sword's different than a lightsaber. See, one's made of light and one's made of lasers. There we go. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that actually we got like trailers for and all of this stuff this week, which was actually pretty good. Jesse Eisenberg and Imogen Poots are going to star in a movie called Vivarium, which is going to come out on video on demand and limited theater release on March 27th. If you haven't seen the trailer for it, go and watch it. It's fucking creepy, quite honestly, and also funny at the same time. So it's about a couple. They're looking for a house. They're going to buy their first house, and they go into this really weird little neighborhood, and they meet this really weird guy, and they take a look at the house, like, yeah, all right, and they leave, but they can't leave. They cannot find the exit to get out, and they keep winding up in front of the same fucking house. And the sun's coming down and everything, so they go inside and they see it's stocked full of food and stuff like that. And they're trying to escape. They're every day they're trying to escape this thing and they can't. It's kind of like a Twilight Zone episode in a way. They even climb up on the roof and are looking out, and they can't see the end of where the exit is. I mean, all they just see is the roof of other houses in the distance. And finally, they get a box with a baby in it, and the box basically says, "Raise the child, and we will release you." And the baby grows exceptionally fast, and all it does is does this high pitched scream, very kind of creepy. So Jesse Eisenberg and Imogen Poots were great in The Art of Self-Defense, but I don't think many people saw it. I didn't see that one. No. A lot of people didn't see American Ultra either, with him and Kristen Stewart in it as two stoners that had been brainwashed by the CIA into sleeper operatives. And that one was fucking bonkers. I actually have that on DVD because that's how good it was. It was fucking bonkers, but good. Yeah. Yeah, Zombieland 2 is fun, Green Henry. I especially liked the little cameo, Bill Murray's cameo at the very end. Yeah. Uh, yeah, you liked American Ultra as well, Raymond K. Hessel. Yeah, it was a bonkers movie. I actually got to watch that again. Um, that was just a good movie. Yeah, there was so much wrong with it, but also so much good with it as well. It just was really different and didn't get a lot of press, which is kind of weird, negative or otherwise. Very kind of weird on that one. So Captain Marvel 2 is getting a second, obviously getting a movie. And they finally got a script writer for them. It's going to be WandaVision's writer. I should say the writer for WandaVision, the script writer for WandaVision is going to be the script writer for Captain Marvel 2. And who is that person you're asking? That's a good question because I can never remember writers' names unless they're extremely famous. And that is Megan McDonnell. Megan McDonnell is going to be tapped as the staff. She's the staff writer for WandaVision. She is going to be writing the script for Marvel, Captain Marvel 2. I'm not jazzed about this. I didn't like Captain Marvel to begin with. I didn't see a point in the character being in these in the MCU, to tell you the truth, because her movie really didn't sway the story, the main storyline, one way or the other, and didn't add anything to the MCU other than giving us Kree and Skrulls. That's pretty much all it did. And I wasn't a big fan of the way the character was portrayed either. She's very bland and just bleh. I would have rather much preferred Monica Rambeau to be the Captain Marvel because that's the Captain Marvel I grew up with. And yeah, I know that Monica Rambeau now is, since we have the 5-year time shift, she's actually older and she's supposed to be in Captain Marvel 2. Hopefully we have a passing of the mantle in this movie. I'm not getting upset about Captain Marvel, Stanley Tweedle. Do they have a villain for Captain Marvel 2 in mind? I don't know, Popeye Pliskin. Hopefully it's better than the Supreme Intelligence, because that was just kind of stupid. Yeah. Garfield 3 is the film we deserve. Oh, that is funny. It is the film we deserve, quite honestly. I just found it funny Al Roker being in there too. The Al Roker cameo is just wrong. Very, very wrong. Wonder Woman over Captain Marvel. Yeah. And quite honestly, She-Hulk, man. She-Hulk should have been like front and center from day one of all of this. I mean, good fucking lord. Yes, I know that Universal Pictures owned the rights to those characters, the whole Hulk Marvel line and all that kind of stuff, but good God, it should have been thought of. Yeah. I see. I just don't like the character at all in the comics. The Carol Danvers character, it just didn't do anything for me. But the Monica Rambeau character in the 80s was the shit. That was what we should have been going with all along. I think the Universal stuff is resolved now, Stanley Tweedle. At least that's what I've been hearing. There's been rumors that they got the rights back at one point, and then that was kind of squashed down. That whole rumor that Disney has gotten the rights back, or Marvel has gotten the rights back to Hulk and everything. Yeah. I don't know if you talked about it, but thoughts on the Trevor O script? Uh, I didn't really talk about it, Raymond K. Hessel. I didn't read it. I had read snippets of it and I started laughing. I think what I said was basically they should do a hashtag release the Trevor O cut because why not? We might as well have, if we're gonna have really stupid requests of studios that of things that don't exist, let's do a release the Trevor O cut. You can hashtag that one. Yeah, it's a would have, could have, should have. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, episode 7, 8, and 9 don't exist in my world. Yeah. They never were made, and the Star Wars movies end with Return of the Jedi. And the expanded universe books are still canon. There you go. Uh yeah, it just I mean, honestly, it's to the point I'm not upset about it. It just they kind of aren't there in mind at all, you know? And they don't interest me. So, yeah. It so my personal philosophy is if you are so upset about something where you need to fucking keep talking about it for a year or 2 or more, all the fucking time we're just bringing it up and up and up, you need to go to therapy. Really, you do. It's something that's actually really, really hurting you inside, obviously, and you need to talk it out with somebody that can maybe give you some professional help on that. Otherwise, let that shit go, quite honestly. There's enough shit in life that you don't need to hang on to a fantasy world that you didn't like. Yeah. You don't need to start some hate group or anything like that over it. Film the Trevor Rose script with Tommy Wiseau directing. Oh, fuck. And not only that, but have him star in it as well in all the parts. Keith, I think that would work. Ah. Oh, do you mean the Duel of Fates version? Yeah, people are saying it's better, but I mean the same can be argued about treatments of Luke. Yeah, exactly, Jody. It's a it's a would have, could have, should have again, and nothing is perfect. Nothing is ever going to be perfect in your mind as to what you see out there unless you do it, and then you're gonna like it, but other people are gonna hate that as well. So exactly, same with Picard. If it's bad, just tune it out. You don't need it. Don't watch it. In my circles, no one talks about it. I mean, except for maybe one or two people about Picard. That's it. I mean, yeah. Yeah. No, you don't let the hate flow through you. If you let the hate flow through you, then it it gets absorbed at some point in time. You deflect. As I said before, an old art teacher of mine, she used to tell us do breathing exercises when we are getting frustrated with stuff, and say, "In with Gandhi, out with Hitler. In with Gandhi, out with Hitler." That's what she said. It's the funniest thing in the world, but yeah. Jody says, precisely, I'd rather turn the page on the whole Star Wars thing, and agreed. As far as I'm concerned, the EU is still canon, and 7, 8, 9 were a bad dream. Yeah, I saw the Silence of the Lambs sequel thing coming to Green Henry. Yeah. Um, so nostalgia sequeling is what I'm calling it now, is where you take 30, 40-year-old movies and that were popular 30 and 40 years ago, and you do a sequel afterwards because my generation is now in our late 40s. Well, yeah, late 40s and 50s. And we're deciding, some of us are in studio positions and things like that. And everything that we loved as kids are being redone as movies and series instead of doing new shit, quite honestly. And I'm over it. I don't need to see another sequel to Ghostbusters. Well, we're gonna get Ghostbusters, unfortunately. Um, I don't need to see another sequel to the Skywalker saga. I don't need to see another sequel to I don't know, Aliens or with Ellen Ripley again. I don't need to see a sequel to The Last Starfighter of what happened 40 years afterwards and just do something fucking new. Again, like I've said, behind me there's plenty of books here that you could pick from and choose from and do something new. I know it's scary to do something new and um, untested at that point, but do something new. That's all you need to do. Ed Stryker says, "Flush and forget like an offensive turd." Star Wars did indeed end in 1983. Yes, it did. The last Starfighter sequel is going to be epic. They've been trying to make that, Popeye Pliskin. Don't laugh. They have been trying to make that for a while now. I keep hearing rumors of it, and yeah, we need to stop with the Terminator movies, especially with Linda Hamilton. I'm tired of the Sarah Connor uh, thing. It just needs to stop. You can still do Terminator movies without having to involve the Connor family. And without doing Kyle Reese either. We don't need any of the players from the 1984 movie. Just do something else. Yeah. Jody says, yeah, they're so bereft of original ideas. All they want to do is remake stuff. I would rather have new stuff, to be honest. Even if they're flawed, at least they wouldn't be remakes. Exactly. Yeah. You got to beat the horse until it's dead. Stanley the Tweedle, and then beat it some more. And make sure the dust that you beat from it gets atomized into the air. Yeah. Pen Farm Girl says there was a time when, like when Sarah Connor Chronicles was on TV, but the time has passed. Exactly. So what else do we have here? We got our first pictures of Wyatt Russell as U.S. agent in the Falcon and Winter Soldier series that's coming out. And he looks fucking awesome, quite honestly. If you haven't seen the pictures, take a look on my Facebook page. I have it up there. The costume looks awesome, and he's carrying a cap shield. I wonder where he got that cap shield from. If they made, Sam give it up, or what's going on. Excuse me. And of course, Wyatt Russell looks kind of jacked up too. So, yeah. Beetlejuice goes to Hawaii. Yeah, why not? Come on. And then he can find a tiki and go surfing, and then they have to return the tiki because it brings bad luck. And yeah, I could see that happening. And then cousin Oliver will come in and join in. And Tiger the dog will be nowhere to be found. Jody says, and then after reanimate the corpse of the horse and beat that. No, actually, the ghost of the horse will come back. It'll be trapped in a Ghostbusters trap, and then it'll become evil. And yeah, it writes itself. See what I mean? Weekend and Bernie's 35. This time it's for sure. This time it's personal. Are the Sokovia Accords still in effect? Yes, they are, Raymond K. Hessel. So that's the whole thing, is that Sam has actually violated those accords, and that's the reason why I don't think the U.S. government in the series Falcon and Winter Soldier are going to recognize him as Captain America because of that. So he was the one that violated those the code, the accords, and so they can't, of course, have a criminal running around as Captain America. Henry, the Green Henry shows, do you feel the same about Batman, or is that franchise you can reboot after so many years? I just want to see Batman done as a TV series at this point, Green Henry. We are moved beyond the point where you need to do movies, especially for something that's serialized as much as Batman, Superman, things like that. We're getting a Superman and Lois show with Tyler Hodgkin. By the way, I didn't realize until recently that Tyler, like the guy who's playing Superman, who has been playing Superman on the CW shows, was Tom Hanks' son in the Road to Perdition movies. The Road to Perdition movie. So he was actually his son in that movie, and I'm like, oh fuck me, he was. So yeah, it's I, you know, I just want to see it serialized now at this point. We already know that comics are serialized. They don't work as movies unless you're going to do multiple prequel or sequels, prequels, or whatever. Just for God's sakes, we have Amazon now. You have DC Universe streaming series, streaming. You have HBO Max that's coming out, things like that. Stop doing these movies and just do it as you can take that same money and funnel it into the TV series and make a good TV series out of it. That way people are still on board with it. You're still going to get your money out of it. In fact, you're probably going to get more money out of it with a streaming series than you are going to be with movies, to tell you the truth, because of all the merchandising. As Mel Brooks so quaintly put it, it's in the merchandising. That's where you make the money. It's not in the actual production of the movies or the TV shows. It's also in the fucking merchandising. That's where it's at. And that's what's important about it. Yes, he is going to be a dark version of Captain America. Jody, US agent always is a dark version of that. So, yeah. He was in another life too. Yeah, he was in another life, Stanley Trino. He's been in a lot of things recently, which is good. He's getting out there. And yeah, another life. I actually liked him in another life in the one episode that I did watch. I found him actually refreshing. Whereas everyone else, I was like, yeah. May the Schwartz be with you. Is Swamp Thing on DVD and Blu-ray now? Man, that fucking movie that show just needed so much more to be done. Yeah. Jody says, yeah, I'd rather see a good Batman TV series again. I don't see them being able to do that with this current climate. Yeah. Well, AT&T now owns Warner Brothers and HBO and all that kind of stuff. That's why you're seeing HBO Max come out. I'm fairly sure that's the reason why Swamp Thing got canceled, was because AT&T took over just as that was being released, and they saw how much money they spent, which was reportedly about $85 million for the first season. And they were like, what the fuck? And they cut it immediately. Are there any directors that never did a comic book movie that you'd be interested in seeing? Doug Liman. Doug Liman has not done comic book movies. He came close. He was attached to do Justice League Dark, and then he stepped back and said, I don't know if I want to do that. But he's busy right now working on a sequel to Live, Die, Repeat, or Edge of Tomorrow 2, or whatever it's being called this week. The Tom Cruise movie. He's actually working on that right now because it's going to be having multiple timelines, and he literally has whiteboards, a room with nothing but whiteboards of all the alternate timelines that he's dealing with, which I think is going to be an interesting movie when it comes about. But Doug Liman, yes, he did Go, Swingers. He did the very first Bourne movie. He does car chase scenes like no one fucking else. So that car chase scene in the very first Bourne movie, that's all him. He also in Go, it's the best car chase scene you're ever going to see on film, as far as I'm concerned. Yes, I would love the alternate title, Watch Tom Cruise Die in Multiple Painful Ways. Yeah. Yeah. So that would be the director that I would love to see do a comic book movie. What would I like to see? Tell you the truth, I would like to see him do a Batman movie. I think he could do an awesome Batman movie. And with the Batmobile, that fucking the car chase scene with a Batmobile would probably be the best thing we've ever seen on film ever if he did it. Yeah. I believe that would probably be the best car chase scene you will ever see in your life if he did a Batman movie. I didn't see Jordan Peele's Us. Sorry to Green Henry show. I didn't. Yeah. I heard about it. I've read a little bit of the synopsis of it, but it wasn't anything that kind of grabbed me. So I didn't see it. Excuse me. Let's see what else we got going on. Oh yeah. February 27th, which is going to be next Friday, or actually no, what am I talking about? February 27th, next month, is season 2 of Altered Carbon. That's going to be starring Anthony Mackie. Is going to be released on Netflix. I'm still trying to debate whether or not I'm going to do it all at once as a is it worth my time, or if I'm doing episode by episode in that one. So that's going to be a hard one to figure out on that. Yeah. We'll see when it comes out. Jody says, "Whoa, I'd love to see the sequel then. I mean, Edge of Tomorrow was fun. It's a Tom Cruise movie, but those can be fun too." Yeah, exactly. When you see Tom Cruise die multiple times, yeah, of course it's fun. That was a kick-ass movie, quite honestly. It's a good movie. Even Jumper, which is admittedly it's not the best movie in the world, it's still a lot of fun. If you go back and take a look at Jumper, I believe they did a YouTube series based on the movie that Doug Liman did for Jumper, and I think it's out on YouTube TV now. I want to say Impulse. Thank you, Stanley Tweedle. That's what it's called. Impulse. Yes. I had heard about it, but I haven't seen it. Yeah, Samuel Jackson with blonde hair is just fucking creepy. It really is. Episode by episode, really? Raymond K. Hessel? I'll try. I have to see how it goes. I'm still not sold yet on Anthony Mackie being a leading man. I really want him to be, but for some reason, there's something I think holding him back. I love Joel Kinnaman in Altered Carbon the first season. He did a great job. You know who I would have loved to see in this Altered Carbon, who I think could have held his own and also is a great leading man who holds a movie, is Denzel Washington's son. I'm blanking on his name now. I know the last name's Washington, of course, but I can't remember his first name. He would have been awesome in this. But I don't know if he's going to do well, he is doing sci-fi. What am I talking about? He's starring in Nolan's new movie. That may or may not be a sequel to Inception. Yes, John David. Yes. Who was in Black Klansman, which is a great movie, by the way. If you haven't seen Black Klansman, awesome fucking movie. That was probably one of my favorite movies of the year when that came out. And I'm not a huge Spike Lee fan, but yeah, that one actually was really damn good. And it's fucking funny to boot. It's got, it's a comedy, it's got drama, and it's got everything in it, and it's good. It's really fucking good. There you go. That's my non-genre movie recommendation for the year for you. Yeah. So speaking of interesting shows and movies and things like that, this is my final thing that I've gotten my list of things here. But March 1st, Dispatches from Elsewhere premieres on AMC, and I am going to be covering this. So Jason Segel stars in this. So does Richard E. Grant, and it's going to be on AMC week to week. And it's based on a true story that happened in San Francisco from around 2010 to 2013, or excuse me, 2008 to 2013. Some people got involved in this thing in San Francisco called the Jeannot Institute, where they it was like a secret society where they were going around and uncovering clues and things like that. And it's a very weird, watch the trailer. It's very weird, but it's based on a true story. And I remember when I lived in San Francisco at that point in time, and I remembered hearing about it. I heard about it tangentially. I heard about the Janot Institute. I never was invited to join or anything like that, or look into it or anything like that. But I remember hearing something about it, and I don't remember from who. But it looks like a very trippy series. It looks very interesting, and it's something that is up my alley where you get something very weird, but out of the norm of things. And that's what I'm looking at. Another aliens are real bullshit. No, it's not anything with aliens or anything like that. This is more supernatural, and not even supernatural really. It's more occult, if you will, on this one. Occult and also culty at the same time. Not cunty, but culty. Yeah. Jody says, see a movie can be fun, even if it's not necessarily the best written film, but if something's poorly written and not fun to watch, that's problematic. Yeah, exactly. Green Henry says, Dennis Villeneuve wants to do a movie in the Blade Runner universe. Yeah, I heard about that. And honestly, I've tapped out. I can't watch Blade Runner 2049 unless I'm having problems going to sleep. Then I can put that on and I'm out like a light. Yeah. That movie was so fucking boring. It just put me to sleep. Speaking of something that needed a theatrical cut, that was a Blade Runner movie that needed a theatrical cut. Jody says, I wouldn't even want a spin-off. The current crop of showrunners and writers don't seem to be able to do. Okay. Popeye Pliskin says, what's the Rosaria Dawson show Briar Patch that they are promoting during Mr. Robot All About? It's a crime series from what I understand. Popeye Pliskin and Sam Esmail, who of course did Mr. Robot, is writing and producing it. So it's the thing that he's doing in between Homecoming, he's doing Homecoming 2, season 2 as well on Amazon. So I'll watch it. I'll watch Briar Patch because it just looks, it's Sam Esmail one, and it seems interesting. Dennis, you don't know what you're talking about, really? What was that? Cult or occult? I don't know which one it is. Stanley Tweedle. It's both. It could be both. And I never know what I'm talking about, Stanley Tweedle. I just pretend to. Picard episode 1 getting good reviews, surprisingly. That's great. I'm not gonna watch it still, unless someone pays my way, and I'm talking about studios and stuff like that. Not any of you guys. I'm not gonna pay for that series. I'm really not. I'm done subscribing to series. Well, I'll probably subscribe to HBO Max just because right now I'm subscribed to HBO Go. I cut cable again, so and HBO Max has what is it? HBO Cinemax, and I think it's Hulu or something like that involved, and so I'll do that. Yes, it is something hidden, Green Henry show. So it does involve something hidden, but also there's a cult aspect to it too, because you have groups of people that are joining this and are believing in it. Excuse me. So 3000, or I think he calls himself Andre Benjamin now by his real name, is in that show. There's a couple of different people that are in this show that are fairly decent. Yeah. CBS actually has a streaming service. Yeah, they CBS All Access. That's what their Star Trek series stuff is running on. And it's something like $7 a month or $8 a month. I can't remember which one it is. And of course, NBC is going to have their own streaming service, Peacock, that's coming out either the end of this year, beginning of next year. I can't remember which one it is. And they've signed on Seth MacFarlane. Excuse me. to, produce shows and for their series, for their network, if you will. Yeah, I'm not subscribing to it, Stanley Tweedle. I understand their numbers are so low right now, it's ridiculous. Yes, they're actually calling it Peacock. That is what it's called, Pen Farm Girl. The NBC streaming service is called Peacock. 'Cause that's their logo, is the peacock. There are gonna be so many jokes about that when it comes out. Yeah. The Green Henry Show says streaming is basically just cable on demand. It can end up costing a lot. Yeah, exactly. Jody says if it's as good as Mr. Robot, why not? Also, if you say it's good, I'll give it a watch. You were spot on with Harley. I didn't think that would be good. Yeah. I like I said, I wasn't holding my breath for Harley Quinn either, and I thought it was going to be shitty, and I was proven wrong. And I'll be the first person to admit I was completely wrong about that show, and I'm glad to be shown that I was wrong about that show. And it's one of my favorite shows that I watch right now. So there you go. Uh, yeah. When is Briar Patch starting? That's a good question, Stanley Tweedle. I don't know. I think it's starting up soon. Let me see. Briar Patch. Uh, Briar Patch premieres February 6th. Holy crap. I guess it's coming up, soon here. Like next week or the week after, 2 weeks. There you go. Yeah, it is gonna be on, yeah. Harley's great. Thoughts on Birds of Prey? I'm gonna give it a go, Raymond K. Hessel. It looks like fun. I'm not misogynistic like a lot of other sites are. Just because it has a group of women that it's starring, I don't give a shit about that as long as it's a good story and it's funny. Yeah, I mean, fuck, I used to watch Supergirl a lot. Now the writing's kind of gone way off the rails. But yeah. Uh, Stanley Tweedle says Netflix seems to dump a lot more stuff in January. In February, it's only got Lock and Key and Altered Carbon. January is the month of. They're doing movies in February, Stanley Tweedle. So if you notice what else did they drop? They also dropped, yeah, the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, part 3. They dropped yesterday. October Faction they dropped the day before that. And yeah, they're gonna be dropping a whole bunch of other stuff next month. They have been getting really bad about announcing when those things are coming out. They usually announce them like 2 or 3 weeks before they dump them, which is weird. Lately, they would, I think they've cut their advertising. That's what they've done. Just because there's too much shit coming out that they're putting out there. Yeah. I'm gonna watch October Faction and see how that goes. Beyond episode 1. Yes. I have faith in Steve Niles. This episode may test that, but this series might test it, but who knows? We'll see. Yeah. And yes, I am looking forward to Lock and Key. Lock and Key looks awesome. Yeah. Lock and Key is going to be it looks like a lot of fun. The Green Henry show says go see Birds of Prey for Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Yeah, Mary Elizabeth Winstead is a fairly underrated actress. She did a series on ABC that was political based, but also comedy and sci-fi because it involved aliens taking over brains of senators in Washington D.C. and it was a comedy, but also it had a political bent to it as well. And it only had 1 season, and it kind of ended on a cliffhanger. I really would have loved to have seen how that ended because, it was wickedly funny, quite honestly. It really was. Um, let me see what it was called here. Sorry, because 'cause I'm slow on that. The streets will run with Razzie Zazzy. I'm sorry, that line just still kills me. Brain Dead, that's what it was called. That's right, Brain Dead. Um, one of the most hilarious fucking shows you will ever see, and just politically on point, quite honestly. Yes, Green Henry show, Brain Dead, yes. Sorry, I was actually looking it up when I didn't have the chat up there. The Razzie Zazzy line, Penn Farm Girl. The streets will run with Razzie Zazzy, yes. Yeah, and it's got, Tony Shalhoub in it too. If you've Tony Shalhoub plays one of the, senators, and it is hilarious. Um, so yeah, if Mary Elizabeth Winstead doesn't, sell you on it, maybe Tony Shalhoub does. But, yeah, Brain Dead was literally, uh it was one of those little gems that no one talked about at all. I mean, literally no one talked about it. And I came across it one night. Uh, I think I caught it on the premiere, as a matter of fact, and started watching. I'm like, "What the fuck is this?" And was laughing my ass off. Yes, she did Fargo season 3 as well. Yes. I heard she was awesome in that too. Yeah. Uh, yeah, I'm fairly well, I knew they were gonna cancel it, Jody, because I liked it, 1, it was on ABC, number 2, and 3, they weren't promoting it at all. Yeah. Oh, is it on Netflix? Nice. I didn't know it was on Netflix. Yeah, it's definitely worth the watch. And considering that it happened all before, the elections, the 2016 election, I think, um, it kinda hit the nail on the head. Yeah. Todd doesn't work on Wednesdays. Oh, it's only on discs? Okay, it's not on streaming. Damn. That one needs to be streamed. Man, they need to stream that shit because it was good. It was really good. I'll see if Amazon's got it. I don't mind watching that one again. All right, so I reached the end of my list. Um, what else I got? Let me just make sure that that was the end of my list. So I skip around on my list quite a bit, and sometimes I forget things here and there. Talked about that, talked about that, talked about that, that and that, that and that, and I did. I talked about everything. Hey, all right, good on me. And I reached the hour and a half mark, which is good. So the one wayers versus the no wayers. uh, yeah. So what else I got going on? Tomorrow is going to be Avenue 5. Avenue 5 is what I'm gonna be covering. Monday is gonna be Is It Worth My Time? Godzilla King of the Monsters, where I'm gonna talk about that. And Tuesday, of course, is gonna be season 2 of Project Blue Book, where I'm gonna be talking about that as well. Episode 2. We get to see what's going on with the Roswell incident. I'm off Wednesday and Thursday. Friday, come back with Harley Quinn, the animated Harley Quinn series, and then we root back around again to Saturday Morning Blast Off. There we go. Disco always returns, Mr. Roboto. It's kind of like, Bad Penny. It always turns up. The Green Henry Show is waiting for Jojo Rabbit to come on streaming. I keep wanting to go and see that in the theater, and I keep forgetting about it. And then also, I just run out of time. That was one movie I really, really, really wanted to see. It just looks so twisted, and also the trailers for it just looked awesome too. I did cover Picard, Jody. Yeah. I had my own little rant about Picard. It wasn't really a rant, it was just kinda like, yeah, I'm not gonna go and bother with it. So, yeah. Ah, so what else is going on? I already talked about Altered Carbon. I already talked about a Westworld season 3, which is coming up. And yes, the streets will run with Razzie Zazzy at some point in time. That'll be a point to be determined. Let me see what else I got in my list of things here. Ah, yes, there we go. So Stargirl is supposed to be released on DC Universe probably the end of February is what I'm guessing is when Harley Quinn ends. Lock and Key is going to be on Netflix, of course. That is February 7th. The Clone Wars season 7 is going to be on Disney Plus February 17th. Yes, I'm going to be covering that, obviously. Altered Carbon season 2 is on Netflix February 27th. We'll see how that goes. Dispatches from Elsewhere on AMC March 1st. Yes, I'm going to be covering that. And Westworld season 3, March 15th on HBO. And I will definitely be covering that as well. Lots of stuff to look forward to. And it's going to be a lot of fun. There's a lot of stuff coming out this year. There's just a lot of stuff coming out every year, quite honestly. Penn Farm Girl says, "Oh my God, Amazon just recommended a movie called Velocipaster." I've seen that one too. It keeps recommending it to me as well, and that's because I made the mistake of watching the Iron Sky sequel, and that was a horrible movie. It had to do with dinosaurs, so that's all. So you recommend to watch it further or to stop? I never saw it, Jody. I didn't watch Picard. I'm not subscribing to that service. If you're gonna watch it, watch it. I don't know. You tell me how it is. Apple Crow says I'd suggest Grace's Room instead. Super low budget, but a lot of fun. For Velocipaster. Okay, Grace's Room. Got it. So the Iron Sky, the first movie was awesome. The sequels afterwards are just shit. Recommend any random Netflix good movies, TV shows? Uh, nothing offhand, Dante S, that I can think of. Oh, Taboo's awesome. Green Henry show. I've been waiting for the second season of that to come out for a while now. So the guys who did the FX Christmas Carol that just came out with Guy Pearce in December, they are all the people that work on Taboo. They're also some of the actors that work on Taboo. And season 2 just needs to figure out when they're going to film it. I love that show. That show was awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Messiah's good. Yeah, it is good. It's different. Yeah. Jody says, "Are you happy with how Good Place is concluding?" I haven't seen the latest episode, Jody. I'll probably watch that soon. But I'm actually okay with it. I like it does feel like they're dragging stuff out, that they're kind of drawing things out, but I kind of figured that's where they were going with this anyway. And I kind of feel the drawing out that they're doing is a bit that is going to play into how it all ends. So, yeah. Yes, Iron Skies has sequels, not sequel, but sequels. Yes. I think they're on the third, movie now. The third one, it's just horrible. It really is. The first one's the only good one, and yeah. Has anyone seen Jack Ryan season 2? No. The first one was so jingoistic and so painfully telegraphed on everything. that I didn't bother seeing it after that. Did the Good Place and no, the Good Place is still going on. The 13 episodes, Stanley Tweedle? All right. So I'm gonna let you guys go. Thank you, everybody who joined me today in the chat. Thank you if you made it this far in the video. If you're still on the fence about joining up, you're gonna see at the very end of this video a video pop up here. Basically, what YouTube does takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and plucks a video out of my vast video library, trying to match it up as much as possible with the algorithms that you have, and they pop it up there for you. Up here is gonna be Harley Quinn. That's gonna pop up there. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. If you're and also, if you want to know when I want to be on live again next, you can hit the bell down below. It's a 50-50 chance of YouTube actually notifying you. Otherwise, you can go to suspendedfanimation.com, check out the schedule there. It's also up on my Facebook page. And speaking of Facebook, there is a Facebook group chat which you guys can post stuff on and talk amongst yourselves. There's Twitter, there's an Instagram, and there's a Patreon page. There we go. Yeah. Thanks, Jody. Yeah, it's either I like it or I don't. I mean, there's sometimes I waffle in the middle of, is it good? Is it not good? And then I'll give you a reason why it could be or it couldn't be, on that. And so yeah, it's one of those things that does happen. So thank you, everybody. Hey, Movie Fanobi. It's rainy in New York, but still having you're out in New York now. You're just kind of hopping along the East Coast there, aren't you? All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining today. I will see you again tomorrow for Avenue 5. Until then, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, Disney may come along and slap your name, might change your name, and add studios to the title because that's how they are. I mean, they're kind of horrible about that kind of stuff. Thanks, everybody. I will see you tomorrow for Avenue 5. Until then, have a good rest of your day.